Hey, welcome to Skills with Phil. Today we're going to be looking at 5 skills and drills we can learn on our mountain bikes without even going to the trails. And as a wise mountain biker once said, if we approach it with an open mind, we can learn more from playing around in a parking lot than we can by scaling an entire mountain. And today we're going to do exactly just that. Here we're taking a look at how to do a pedal-assisted front wheel lift. This is useful for getting your front wheel up anytime you don't have much speed. Knowing how to do pedal-assisted front wheel lift will get you out of a lot of trouble. To do this, give your drivetrain a good punch while standing tall. This is most effective in one of your easier gears. If you try this in a harder gear, you won't have enough torque to lift the front wheel. While you can't lift the front wheel with your arms alone, using your drivetrain makes it a lot easier. This is the same concept as a wheelie. We're using our drivetrain to assist our front wheel into the air. For that reason, we can also do this move sitting down. To do this while sitting down, keep your weight back by keeping your arms extended and your weight on the back of your seat. Once you have mastered the pedal-assisted front wheel lift, you can use it to get over roots, up on curbs, or any other small object that's in your way. Now we're going to take a look at how to lift our back wheel without being clipped in. Now, I know I'm doing this with a full suspension mountain bike, but you can do this with any kind of bike, including a rigid, a hardtail, or even a road bike. While the technique may differ from bike to bike, the technique remains the same. To do this, spring upwards while keeping your weight on your handlebars. But the key to lifting your back wheel in the air without clipless pedals is to scoop with your feet. Keep your toes pointed and apply slight backwards pressure while sucking your legs up. You should find by doing this correctly that your back wheel will come off the ground and into the air. Now, if you were to do the same movement, but this time apply the front brake, that would be called an endo. You can also use this to reposition your back wheel while on the trail. To move your back end from side to side, do the same movement as before, but this time when you spring upwards at a diagonal in the direction you want to move your back wheel. Challenge yourself by placing a stick on the ground and getting your back wheel up and over the stick without touching it. Practice this in both directions and with and without using your brakes. Remember, when you're doing this, be sure you're keeping your weight over your handlebars as well as maintaining tension through your arms. Obviously, be careful when trying this because you don't want to go over the bars. That being said, it's actually harder than you think to do that. So go into this skill with a bit of caution, but at the same time, don't be shy. The next skill we're going to look at is one of the most important skills for maintaining control of your bike while out on the trail. I'd even go out on a limb to say that braking and brake control is one of the most overlooked skills people don't practice. For this drill, you're going to want to find a moderately steep bank with a flat runout. I'm using this grassy bank on the side of a parking lot. This is a perfect location to practice braking without breaking traction. When braking on a steep hill, drop your heels and keep your legs bent while shifting your hips behind your seat. If you have a dropper post or quick release, be sure you lower your seat. This will help you practice good form. Something to keep track of is be sure you keep your arms extended and in front of you and your head behind your stem. Maintaining a strong body position like this will help you come to a controlled stop without going over the bars. Personally, however effective it may be, going over the bars and falling on my face is definitely not my preferred way to stop. Initially, practice going down the hill and braking using both brakes. The goal of this exercise is to guide ourselves down the hill without breaking traction. To put it simply, we don't want to skid down the hill. Once you have mastered that, practice going down the same hill while only using one of your brakes at a time. You may find when you only rely on your back brake, it's nearly impossible not to skid on steep hills. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, see how quickly you can come to a full stop at the bottom of the hill. Another variation of this drill is to place a few markers on the hill that you can try to slalom between. Now, if you are like me, you'll probably set the markers too close to each other. Give yourself a little bit more room than you initially think you'll need. The great thing about this drill is you can easily change it up by practicing in different conditions and on different terrain. A good complement to the braking exercise is to practice going up the hill. Doing hill repeats like this will not only strengthen your legs to make it easier to climb while on a trail, but this is also a good opportunity to practice ascending hills with different gear ratios. You may find when you're using a really easy gear that your tire often breaks traction while ascending the hill. There's a few ways you can prevent that from happening. One, use a gear that's slightly harder than you may think you'll need and approach the hill with a little bit of momentum. If that's not an option, to get more traction on your rear wheel, drop your chest and shift your weight backwards. By applying slight upwards pressure on your handlebars and downwards pressure on your pedals, you're essentially forcing your back tire into the ground, which will give you better traction. This is similar to what pickup drivers might do during their winter. Adding additional weight to their truck bed will give them better traction in their rear wheels. To challenge yourself more, see how little of a run-up you need to ascend the hill. Something else you can try is approach the hill with a little bit of momentum and see if you can make it up the whole hill without even pedaling. By practicing hill repeats from time to time, you'll surprise yourself by just how much you've actually learned and how much easier climbing will be. When we talked about braking, we talked about not breaking traction, but here we're going to break that rule and we're going to purposely break traction. To put it simply, we're going to be practicing how to skid. Knowing how to purposely break traction and what causes you to break traction will teach you how to avoid skidding while on the trail, while also getting used to the feeling of breaking traction. This can help get yourself out of some sketchy situations if you ever find yourself sliding while on the trail. It should be noted that skidding is usually frowned upon while out on the trail because this causes unnecessary wear and tear to the trails that builders then have to fix. In my experience, one of the best places to practice skidding is on your angry neighbor's front lawn. All jokes aside, it's best to practice this in an undesirable location such as a gravel parking lot or in your backyard, of course with the homeowner's approval. The easiest way to skid is to gather up a lot of speed and grab a handful over your brake. You can make skidding even easier by shifting your weight forwards and over your front wheel. The less weight or downward force on your back wheel, the easier it will be to break traction. As a quick side note, if you're trying to actually stop, shift your weight backwards and drop your heels. This will force your back wheel into the ground and give you more traction, bringing you to a stop. Just be sure to avoid touching your front brake at all costs. Experiment by turning the bars in one direction or another to get your back end sideways. Once you've mastered that in both directions, for a good challenge, set up some cones and practice slaloming between the cones. This is called skid slalom and is actually quite a bit of fun. So there you go, those are 5 skills and drills you can learn just about anywhere. Even though I said this was 5 beginner skills and drills, even advanced riders will find something to learn by revisiting these skills from time to time. If you're new to Skills with Phil, well, first off, welcome. Secondly, I'd love to have you subscribe, and if you get a chance, click that bell icon to get notified each time I upload a video. And if you know of any skills and drills that would benefit beginner riders, let us know in the comments below. As always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today, and I'll see you guys next time.